What's up, guys? I am Kenny from Upscale Lures, and today is episode number 2 of my new series, Upscale Fishing Interviews. And I'm doing it outside. It's absolutely gorgeous out here. I love how the snow sticks to the trees. Oh, and look, we got a lure hanging in the trees. I didn't even see that. Where did that come from? I was lucky enough to interview a fisherman from Jersey, and we are going to get right to it. If you could please tell us your name and the name of your YouTube channel.
Well, my name's Eric Guarino. A lot of people around this area like to call me by the YouTube channel name that I made when I was 14. Would love to change, but haven't really gotten around to it. Bass Fishing Jersey.
Eric, so what is your channel about, or what is the main focus on?
One would think bass fishing in New Jersey, but it's a lot more than that. A lot more than just bass. A lot more than just New Jersey, which is, the main reason I want to change it.
What book have you given the most as gifts, or what book has greatly influenced your life? If no book comes to mind, what person, podcast, or YouTube channel have you recommended the most, and why?
I would say podcasts that I listen to. I like to laugh. I like to hear other people's interesting stories on life, and I feel like no podcast does that better than Church of What's Happening Now with Joey Diaz. It's so funny.
Like a doctor!
Besides that, as far as like a media source that really has played a lot of influence in my life, music is at the top of that list. Getting more specific, album-wise, Pink Floyd. I listened to them first when I was real young, 9, 10 years old. I mean, shout out to my dad for getting me into them. He had some old CDs in his car that he would always play. And I didn't really understand the meaning of it when I was young. But then, of course, when I got older, 15, 16, 17 years old, I really kind of felt the meaning of what they were saying. And I go back to it now, 21 years old, and it's still just as relevant. So one CD I actually found in my car, that this was my dad's CD from years ago. This is Animals, Pink Floyd. And this one, to me, is the most important Pink Floyd album in terms of just the lyrical content and what it means to me on a deeper level. So check it out, man. Pink Floyd. Good.
What fishing gear, equipment, or lure purchase of $100 or less has made the most impact in the last 12 months?
Okay, so this is actually not a purchase, but I'm still going to say it because it definitely had the most impact on my fishing last year. Shout out to my good buddy Johnny Flogel. Like 2 years ago, for whatever reason, he had this ultralight trout rod with an Abu Garcia, a little tiny, I'd say 100-sized Abu Garcia Cardinal. Not a top quality reel we're talking about here. But one day he just left it in my tracker, left it in the rod locker and forgot about it. I'd say, I guess a year later, so last winter, I ended up finding that rod in my rod locker. And ever since then, I started using it for bass during the really cold months with, light line. I'm talking 4-pound tests. Sometimes I would throw 2. And I just had so much fun catching big fish on it that eventually it transitioned into me throwing it on the boat in the spring for big smallmouth, for big largemouth. I caught so many fish on this rod. And then finally, in the summertime, when I was still throwing it, having a blast, fighting these now supercharged summer bass as opposed to in the winter, it's still a good fight with the ultralight, but that you're fighting a fish that's 25% there. In the summertime, fighting fish on it was insane, but it finally ended up breaking in some unfortunate circumstances that I won't really get into here. But yeah, that ultralight rod definitely had the biggest impact.
So for question number 3, how has a failure set you up for later success, and do you have a favorite failure of yours?
These are good questions, man. I like this. A favorite failure of mine. You know what, yeah, when I got to JMU my freshman year, I really thought my career path was going to go one way. I was real into editing, which I still am today, and into just digital content, marketing, all that good stuff. And once you got into JMU, there's a school called the School of Media Arts and Design that you still have to apply to later on. And let's just say freshman year, my grades they definitely weren't where they're at now here at Rowan. Just due to a few things, maybe a little too much partying, maybe just being a freshman, being stupid, taking math classes that I've never been good at and still had to take in college. But long story short, I applied to the School of Media Arts and Design and I didn't get in. So here I am at this school down in Virginia now with no clear direction. I could reapply, which I ended up not even doing. It didn't even matter at that point. I was able to look past that failure. It's when I started uploading a lot more content. I started exploring the area around JMU a lot more, making videos, just getting out there, enjoying life. And that led me to emailing One Rod, which then led to John, which then led to Rowan and Ike Live. And it just proves that you really never know where life's going. And you just got to take things one day at a time. Everything happens for a reason.
If you had your own billboard and could put it anywhere, what message would you put on that billboard?
It's a good one. I think I'm going to have to piggyback off what I said in the last question. Everything happens for a reason. As cliche as that billboard would look, that's really the way I live life. It allows you to deal with the stresses in a much easier fashion. So, yeah, man, everything happens for a reason. Cliche.
So I'm sitting in my house taking a
shit right now. And I actually decided to change the Billboard answer a little bit. It would just be Jesse caught it. That's it.
And that's kind of ironic. It is episode number 2. What is the best investment you have ever made? It can be investment of time, money, or energy.
I'm definitely gonna have to say putting my energy into transferring schools. That's actually not an easy process whatsoever. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't something that I originally wanted to do when I went to college. You know, I really thought that that's where I was going to spend my 4 years down in Virginia, and I was good with that. But I saw something in coming here, and putting that energy into it paid off in ways that, you know, are still unfolding to this day. So I really couldn't say in the end how good of an investment it was, but so far it's looking pretty good.
What is a unusual lure or a absurd fishing tactic that you love to use?
Oh man, an absurd fishing really light line. I go back to the ultralight thing. You should see the look I get on some of these lakes when, you know, it's like April and people got their big jerk baits out and their big jigs and all this stuff to catch a pre-spawn 6-pounder. Here I am whipping around a 4'6" rod with 4-pound test and like a tiny Kitech on there.
In the past 3 years, what belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Wow, 3 years is a long time. First of all, let me tell you, at my age, I'm 21 now. So 3 years is going back to 18 years old. I can tell you that I'm a completely different person now than I was when I was 18. And I'm sure I'll be a completely different person when I'm 24 as opposed to now. But I would say in the last 3 years, what's improved the most, just the ability to handle situations, to calm down, to realize that, like I said earlier, everything happens for a reason, and take it one day at a time. You know, of course, when you're 18, you think one little thing happens in your life, you break up with that girlfriend or whatever, and you well, that's it, I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm 19 now, I'm old, I'm done. But obviously, that's not the case. And now at 21, I realize how much life I have ahead of me, so it allows me to take things slower.
What advice would you give a smart, driven beginner angler trying to make it into the fishing world?
That's a tough question, honestly, because, you know, a lot of people would tell you to start a YouTube channel, to get a camera, but my biggest thing would be just try to get out there and be on the water as much as possible, because for me in the beginning, that's all it was, and that built my love up to the point where I finally wanted to get a camera and start putting stuff online. So my biggest thing would, if you're young, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old, just beg your parents as much as possible to give you rides to ponds, be out there after school instead of doing, you know, all the stupid stuff that young teenagers do, and experience that, because that's going to grow your love for the sport, and maybe that'll lead to a career in it. Who knows?
When you feel unfocused or when you get overwhelmed, what do you do or what do you think about to get yourself back on track?
I think about where I was at 3 years ago. I think about all the things I overcame to get where I am now, and that if I can overcome those things, then there's really nothing stopping me moving forward except myself.
For question number 11, when you hear the word successful, who comes to mind and why?
It's an easy question for me. It's going to be my dad, because my dad had immigrant parents who moved to this country from Italy with no money. I mean, my dad's father, who I never got to meet, was an even greater example of a success story. But back to my dad, I mean, he came from basically nothing, growing up in Paterson, New Jersey, which, if you know anything about that area, Bergen County, it's one of the roughest areas to grow up in. I mean, his principal in high school carried a bat around with him. They actually made a movie out of that. But my dad managed to get himself out of that situation. He was an artist, he was creative. He ended up paying for his own school in New York City while working nights, and then managed to create his own business and work for himself. He still works for himself to this day at 58 years old, and he's been doing that for his whole life. He's had the same job since he was 16 years old, and then he was able to build a successful family in the city, move out of the city into the suburbs, and there's no one to me that's a bigger example of success than my dad.
What video are you most proud of? And I'll leave a link in the description page below.
This is going to be a long video. I'm all for it, though. I really enjoyed this. Like I said, too, I appreciate that a lot of the questions weren't really fishing related. I'm going to have to say the 6 species video from last year that I did with Kurt. Reason being, that was just such a cool day, because it was the first time that Kurt and I had ever gotten to fish together. He was someone I knew from YouTube like 6 years ago. I mean, you can go back and see the comments, but then we lost connection with each other and didn't regain it until like a year ago on Instagram. Ended up fishing together and having that kind of day.
What is the most exciting project you are currently working on or will be working on this year?
Okay, I don't want to tease the big one because, like, I just don't, but bomb cycle brown trout. I went out last week in that big snowstorm we had in the Northeast and caught wild brown trout on this awesome river.
This was not in the last interview. I thought this would be a good question to ask. what strategy or tactic do you believe made the most impact in building your YouTube channel?
For one, consistency, because that one period of time after I filmed with One Rod, I was making a lot of vlogs, and I think that definitely helped build the audience, you know, grow a little bit of a fan base. But I gotta shout out One Rod, because emailing him originally, you know, he had less than 100,000 subs when I emailed him and wanted to fish with him, and he was so cool, such a genuine dude. At that time, I thought him having like 80,000 subscribers was the craziest thing ever for a fishing channel. And then, you know, of course, since we fished that first time together, he's just grown so much things. I think he has like 800,000 followers now, or some crazy amount. So to see his growth, and then he continued to fish with me the year after. He did more videos of me, so shout out to him. He was just always a genuine person, and he definitely helped bring some more attention to the channel.
What video of yours was the most challenging and why? I will leave a link in the description page below so all my viewers can check that out.
So I'm gonna go back a few years for this one. It's something that didn't happen. I was on the Shenandoah making a video, and I had caught largemouth and pike up to that point from land. And I knew this one area of the Shenandoah happened to have muskie in it. I'd never seen one or hooked one, but I thought, man, how cool would it be to catch bass, pike, and muskie in the same day from land? So I'm fishing this river, throwing my spinnerbait along the bank, and all of a sudden, man, I get whacked. I see this fish in the water. It is at least a 35-inch muskie. I mean, definitely a real big fish to catch from land. And he pops off on the spinnerbait. It ruined the video. It ruined my whole day, my whole week, my whole month. I don't know. It was a long time that I was upset about that. I still am now when I think about it. So yeah, that was definitely a challenging one.
Do you have any last message, action, or challenge for my viewers?
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm gonna tell you the keys to life or anything like that, but my biggest advice would be to be yourself and not listen to what everyone's saying around you. Man, freshman year of school, I got like made fun of and stuff, you know, from putting up videos on YouTube, putting up fishing videos. I could have so easily put everything down, say I'm not doing that anymore, quit everything, play basketball, conform, do what everyone else is doing. But I didn't, and I'm at where I'm at now. I could not be happier. It's all because I didn't listen to everyone back when I was 14, which is so, I see so many kids give into that. My advice is only really gonna be for kids that are younger than me, because think about it, I'm 21, I'm still trying to figure out everything myself. But yeah, if you're younger coming up, don't worry about what's going on around you. None of that high school drama matters, that's for sure.
Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. I hope you had as much fun as I had. If you could please tell me the best place to find you online, and I will leave all the links in the description page below. Thank you again, I appreciate it so much. It was a blast.
Bass_fishing_jersey on Instagram. I post there every day, but look for me to change that name soon. It's coming, all right? And of course, YouTube, I'm at, same thing. Bass Fishing Jersey, yeah. Oh yeah, and of course you can also find me on the Ike Live show. We have so much fun on there. We'd love to do more of them, but Mike's on the road 370 out of 365 days a year, so it's a little tough to do more than like 1 or 2 a month, but it's another place you can hit me up. Shout out Kenny for those questions. That was a lot of fun. It got real, it got funny, so I had a great time with it.
What's up guys, thanks for watching episode number 2. We got the garbage man here backing up on the street. I don't know what he's doing. I want to tell you real fast about my first Fishing Friday newsletter. It goes out every single month, which also includes a lure giveaway. So that's 12 times a year you have a chance to win a lure giveaway. We get that shipped out to you so you guys can try out our lures. It also includes a little bit of news of our company, Upscale Lures, you know, kind of what we're up to, what lure we're working on, or what video we just put out, you know, stuff like that. And then we also include fishing news of just around the world, you know, whatever's going on that month, you know, whatever the hot topic is, you know, I try to touch on that to kind of keep you guys up to date. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Make sure to subscribe. It's super easy. It's in the description below. To sign up takes like 2 seconds. I think you guys will really like it. And thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.